Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced, and I'm back. Now, in this video, I still have the Nevernote project here. The point of this video is going to be two approaches to seeding a database. So the idea is that you have a new database, it's fresh with no data in it, and you would like to seed some initial data in it. Okay? So, prerequisites. You need to have a database connection, which comes from dbcon.js. And again, I'm using a template that you can use. So if you want to use the same exact Express template I'm using, you would just use the command mbx create erv mongo app, and then put in your whatever name project. Okay, so in case you wanted to see how I got this set up, dbcon, that's going to be our database file that has our database connection. We don't need to touch that. And then you need to have your model set up. So I have two models set up. I have one for auth, so I have a user model, and I have a notes model. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go into my .env, and I'm going to change the database to Nevernote1. So that way it's a completely blank database. It's now, I basically have just zapped everything, because Nevernote is a database that actually has stuff from the previous two videos locally, because again, I'm using my local Mongo database running a local Mongo server. Okay, cool. So theoretically, there's two ways to seed a database. Okay, first method is a seed file. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I have a preset seed file that you can use right here, seed.js. It already imports the database connection, so now we're gonna import our models. So the first thing I wanna do is I want to create some users. Okay, so I need to import the user model because we want to seed our database with a bunch of users. So I'm going to go over to my model. See here, it's going to be auth. So just do const user equals require dot slash back into the main folder into models slash auth. So that imports the user model that's in this file right here, because again, once you notice, I don't specify index.js. If the file is called index.js, specifying the folder will automatically do that. If the file was called anything other than index.js, I would then have to specify the file name. So if it was called like cheese.js, I would actually have to specify cheese.js. But since it's an index.js file and the folder called auth, I can just specify the folder path and it'll import that file. Okay, cool. Okay, so I've imported the model and I've imported the database connection. Now data seed. Okay, so users have, so let me go back and look at my user model. Users have two properties, username and password. So I just need to create an array of objects with a username and password. So let's create users. So let's call this const user seed equals, it's going to be an array because we want to add multiple users, and each object in this array should have the exact properties that the user schema has. So username, this one will be Alex Merced. Okay, password cheese. Okay, and then I'll just make this easy for myself, and we'll just do Alex Merced 2 and Alex Merced 3. Okay, so there's my seed data. So now I'm going to just put here the database operation that I want, and then I will just do, how do I want to do this? Oh yeah, that's right. User.create, and then I pass in the array of users I want to create to seed my database. So user seed. Okay, and then I'd like to close the database connection as soon as that's done. So I think, what did I call the database connection here? Mongoose. So I think it's mongoose.connection. I think .close, right? Yep, .close. Cool. And that'll close the connection after the file runs. So I'm not running my server.js. This is a separate file that I'm going to run separately. So I'm going to open up my terminal in this database folder, and then I'm going to just run that file. Node seed .js. Oh, I get a, what did happen here? Unexpected token. Let's examine. Oh, I forgot some commas. There we go. So let's try that again. Okay, let's see here. And it looks like it happened. Let me see here. Nope, nope. Still, wait, no. Node seed error invalid connection string. Okie dokie. So it didn't like my connection string. So that's got to do with the .env. Never note 1. Okay, so I mean that looks all fine. So let's go to dbcon. Okay, require .env.config. That looks good to me. DB name, that all looks good. Why didn't it grab the connection string? MongoDB URI, MongoDB URName. Let's take a look at my .env again. URI, DB name, never note 1. I don't see a problem with that. So let's do this. Let's take a look at what my connection string looks like by console logging it. So I'm going to go to my DB connection file. And I'm going to console log the string I'm passing in, which is this. So I'm going to console log this in here. And we'll see what my string is. Okay. And then we just run that file again. Undefined, undefined. Okay. Interesting. What that tells me is that it's not finding the .env file. And probably the reason is I think when you run the .env function is that it looks in the folder that you're in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy, probably the easiest, quickest solution is I'll just make a copy of the .env file here for now into the database folder. Save. I'll have to adjust the template for that issue. It's an easy, there is another fix, but because you can actually specify the file path for the .env file, but for the sake of time, I'm just making a copy of it, and let's see if that works. Okay, and that seemed to work. Yep, so you are connected to Mongo. Okay, and then did some stuff, which I didn't console log anything, so you are disconnected to Mongo. Okay, so that seems to have worked now. But I'd like to actually see if that data got added. So I'm going to modify the file and do a find, and actually do the .then. Or actually just do it with the callback style. Okay, that's error data. Let's just see if the data came in. Console.log the data. Just want to make sure that those users got added. So node. No, they did not. Okay. You are connected. Unhandled promise registered. Apologies closed. Please connect. Objections are deprecated. Unhandled promise. Okay. Please connect. That's an interesting error. I don't think I've gotten that one before. So let's Google that real quick. Oops. Oh. Let's copy the error. Because see, this time the error is there, and I'm pretty sure I have the use unified topology thing here. So use unified topology, true. Use new URL parser, true. So that looks good. So there must be something else at work here. Okay, let's just skip to the answer. Thanks for GitHub's used by drop-down menu. I was able to cheat. And here's what I ended up with the changes. Where's Mongo use that connection. Use unified URL parser. Yeah, that's fine. You change the API local parser. Works great. Now the solve the 400 I'm getting with my client. Okay. That didn't quite give me an answer. I'm not using Mongo Atlas, so that's not my issue. Trying to close a client in a request handler, but the client is global. If you have a global client, do not close it in request handlers. Okay, so maybe it's that use of the mongoose connection that's causing the issue. So let's go over here. Oh, I think that's right. Yeah, it makes sense. Because this is asynchronous, so I'm closing the connection before the thing. So let's try this. Control X. That would make sense. This is asynchronous, so technically this is not finishing. I'm closing the connection before the asynchronous task completes. So let's make that a function. And there we go. Mongoose.connection.close. Let's see if that makes a difference. Okay, cool. Okay, so the data is now it's working. So now let's try that create again. So I'm going to change this to user.create. And then I'm going to pass in that array again. So user seed. And we'll console log the data to make sure that the data got added. Okay, and see there, we added the data. Okay, so that's one way to see the database using a seed file. So I'm just running the seed file and it's seeding the database. But again, close the database in your .dens or in your callbacks because again, this is all asynchronous actions if you're closing the database. Okay, I could just not put this line and then just do Control C to kill the connection. That is also an option. So that's method number one. An even better way of doing this would be with a seed route. Now, how do I do a seed route? Okay, so to do a seed route, all I would do is I would go back to my controller. Okay, so I would instead take this data, add it to my controller. So let's go look for my controllers, auth, index.js. I'll just go to the top here. I'm gonna just add this array in here, user seed, and we'll make this number 4, 5, and 6. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add another route to the list of routes here I have in auth. This will be my seed route. The cool thing about this is that I don't actually have to go run a separate file. I can just run my server, hit this route, and it seeds my database. Okay. Cool. So then I just do this. So I would just create a route, router.get. So we'll just call this seed. Yep, seed. Rec. Res. And then here I would do user.create. Again, I pass in the user seed. Then I pass in the callback, error data. And then here I would then do the thing. Okay, so I'll just console log the data. Here I won't close the database connection because the server is running. So all I want to console log is the data, so that way I can see if the user. Actually, what I'd rather do is just send the data back. So I'll just do res.send and just send the data back. So I should just get back some JSON data with the users that were created. So save. Good. That's done. So now all I'd have to do, in this case, is just run the server. So npm run dev to run this dev server. Goody. And then I should be able to do that here. So localhost, what was it, 4,000 or 5,000? 5,000. So it's localhost 5,000. Let's just double check that it's working. Okay, we're in Nevernote. But again, that's an off route, so it's going to be part of my off routes, and it ends in seed. And see, successfully added those users. So see Alex Merced 4, Alex Merced 5, Alex Merced 6. So if that all works, I should be able to log in using those users. So let's see here, Alex Merced 1. Actually, I don't think there was an Alex Merced 1. Alex Merced 2. Cheese is the password. Oh, no, I failed to log in. Let's see here. Alex Merced 2. Cheese. Cancel. Let's try it with the ones that we just added. Log in. Alex Merced 4. And cheese was the password. Failed to log in. Okay, so that's a concern. Okay. Oh, okay. Here is why. The reason why that is a problem is because in my seed route, I'm not encrypting the passwords. I forgot to encrypt the passwords because users, they need encrypted passwords. So in that case, that's why that's not going to work. So because if it was any other model, I wouldn't need to worry about that. But because users have encrypted passwords, I'd have to go encrypt the passwords. So in that case, I would need I'm going to just start another database again. So I'm going to go into my .env files, change them to note2 and note. Again, I had to put another .env file in the dbcon one. Note2, I changed that one, so that means this is the one I didn't change yet. Note2. So once again, I have a blank database, because now it's going to use a database called nevernote2. Okay? So, theoretically, what I would need is bcrypt. So I'm not going to do the seed file again. I would just import bcrypt in here, and then just do all the bcrypt stuff in there. But I'm just going to do it in the seed route. So just to get the point across. So controllers, auth, index, back over here. So again, I got to remember to encrypt the password. So what I should do is this. Let me just copy. Where do I encrypt it here? So here's where I hash the password. So let me just copy that. Copy. And then we'll just make this equal the hashed password. So paste. And then this will be, instead of rect.byte password, this will just be cheese. And then I will do that 3 times. Control C, Control C, Control C. So that way all the passwords are hashed. And now let's do this again. So auth seed. Hit the seed route. And did that work? Well, I'm not getting a response. That work. Okay. So it says. Okay, so I apparently broke something. Auth seed. Password cheese. This is the seed route. Use create. Oh, wait a second. This is asynchronous. Let me think about this one. Actually, let's do this. I should have done it with a different model. Users makes it a little bit more complicated than it otherwise would have, because I got to figure out how to encrypt those passwords. So since bcrypt is asynchronous, again, it's done through promises, so that means I can't just synchronously stick it in there. There's like .thens and all that stuff involved. Let me just see, how did I do it down here? I used the wait, but it had to be in an async function. So let's do this. Let's make this a let. So that way we can just reassign it. And then we'll just say user seed equals user seed dot map. And all I really want to do, okay, we'll just say for each user, all I really want to do is return Actually, I don't even want to. This is going to be. I need this to be an async function. So async. And basically, I just want user.password to equal. Yep, there we go. Await bcrypt.hashcheese. So it'll wait for that, and then return user. Good. And then that should change all the users. Now it's still complaining here. Why is it complaining? User seed. Oh, this for some reason changed the screen left. Interesting. Let. There we go. So basically, here's the original array. This converts all the passwords into hashed passwords in that array. So that way when I pass it here, they're encrypted and all good. So now if I hit this, fail. ¿Por qué though? Okay. So it's saying okay, so it's getting back something. So what I need to do is this. So over here, I'm gonna have the console log. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send back an object that includes data and error. So I can see what we're getting back here. It'll come back as the part of the JSON data. So let's try this again. Or I just might break the site. Or I created some sort of local error. What says error is not defined. Oh, it says error. ERR. Let's try this again. There we go. Okay, so validate error. Password is required. Okay, so did we not return user seed.map? Okay, so let's see here. Console.log user. Something's a little funky there. Let's try that again. Now let's see here. Password. Yeah, so all the objects should have a username and a password. User seed dot map. Oh no, that's down there. Here in the route, user dot create. We pass in the user seed. We get error back data. Okay. Let me just actually console log, make sure user seed still is what we think it is. User seed. I'll get rid of the console log up here. We don't want too many console logs, it gets a little hard to follow. Let's try this again. Okay, so we triggered. Now let's take a look what we get back. Oh, I see. It returned the promise. So we want to return this to return await user. Okay, so that way it waits for the to resolve the promises. So save. I think that should do it. Nope. Now the that's right. So por qué does it not like that array? Password is required. It has both. Validate error. Message. Password is required. Is it not called password? Username, password. Oh, but it's not in an array anymore. For whatever reason. So let's just do this. I will wrap this in curly brackets. And do a dot dot dot. So I'm just spreading it. So this is getting like way too complicated for. So I wouldn't seed users like this. In hindsight, I would have seeded any other type of data, so that way you don't have to worry about all this bcrypt stuff. But alas, you may decide you want to. So I'm going to solve this. Okay, refresh. Password is required. Required password. It just doesn't like it. Oh wait, still a password. That still doesn't look right. Wait, password return. Oh, okay, I think I see why. Because this is asynchronous, so that's still gonna run there. So really, I want to do this here. So I want to do that transformation in the route. So let's make this route async. Let's copy this transformation of user seed in here. And we're going to user seed equals, and I'm going to get rid of all this. I don't need all this. I think I just want to do await user seed. So, okay, and then let's try that. So now in this case, these awaits will stop this function from finishing. So that way the user seed should be what it's supposed to be by the time it gets there. So let's try that out. No, that didn't work either. When I look at it, I see an array of promises still. I guess the other way to do this. Nah, not worth it. But yeah, okay, so basically users you should probably add one by one. But you guys get the idea. You can create a route that adds a data. If it was just an array of plain data, I could just easily add it. It's just I decided to use users, which required the extra step of encrypting. I guess the other alternative to doing this would have been something like this. So I just might as well do it. Okay, so you do for user seed dot for each, do a for each loop, pass an async function in there, and again for each user. So then here I would do user dot password equals, let me just copy the hash function, equals user.password. Actually, it should be cheese. Oh, actually, yeah, user.password sync, because I think it's already cheese. Yeah, it's already cheese. So user.password cheese, a sync, await, and then at this point you would do const new user equals new user equals await user dot create, and we pass in the user, and then that's that. And then once that's complete, we'll say res dot send complete. And just so we can see those users that were created, we'll do a console.log await new user. Okay, and then hopefully that allows us to see the new user. Save. And is my server working? Yes. Come on. Complete. That's a good sign. Let's take a look. Oh, that's a good sign too. So we're getting the IDs. So yeah, okay, so that worked. So that would be the way I'd have to see the user. I'd have to do a for loop so that way I can encrypt each user one by one. Boo! That ended up being more complicated than it needed to be. But hopefully you guys learned a few things, and also hopefully watching me have to go through all that will prevent you from having certain issues and know kind of where to look to solve certain issues in the future. My name is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. Have a great day and enjoy.